Now we're ready to cut out our product, and I've decided what colors I was going to use. I'm using a really lovely linen in pink for my shoulder straps, and then I'm using this wonderful Michael Miller fabric from the Rosalinda collection to do the flutter sleeves, which I think is like so pretty. And then I also got the polka dot, and that's going to be the main fabric. I do all of this also on the bunny skirt to tie that in so that it comes as a set and looks really nice. I also found a really pretty lace in my stash, and I'm going to use that for the hem, front hem, and I'm also going to use that for my insert. And I'm using this fold over elastic for the back. It's not meant for that, but it works so well, and it's not as thick as other elastics, and it's super cheap. I got my whole roll for $16 on Amazon, which is such a bargain. So I really recommend that. The link to that is also in your instructions if you wanted to get that for yourself. It's a really good tip. The first thing I'm cutting out is my insert, and we're cutting that out once, and I use this really lightweight linen for it. And you always want to cut so that your scissor sits to the left of your pattern piece, at least if you're right-handed. You have way more control when you're cutting out, and you're getting a really nice edge, which is not jaggedy or anything. Now I'm going to cut out my straps, and I'm going to cut those twice. And on the pattern that you will be cutting out, there'll be a little bit of a tip towards the front. So that makes it very clear which is the front and which is the back, because the back is just cut straight over. So I've just cut through the center there. I'll do that before I cut out, so don't waste any fabric. Put it straight on that edge, and then I'm going to cut all the way around. Again, you want to make sure your scissor sits on the left hand side of the pattern if you can do that. I mean, you can cut it from the other side as well. It's just easier from this side, that's all. Next, I'm going to cut my flutter sleeve. I need 2 of those. And I also want to just point out that you can make them wider in the shoulder area if you are doing the flutter sleeve for an older child, like sort of 7 or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I made them not so wide, but some people have said, oh, they like them really wide. So mine is a bit more dainty, as you can see on all the sample pictures. So you could just extend that width. You just go around and make it a centimeter wider. The only place not to make it a centimeter wider is at the beginning and the end. So you could come out a little bit more if you like. That's also possible. Now I'm marking my front because, as I said when I discussed the pattern with you, the front is actually wider than the back. We also need to cut the back piece, which is cut on the fold, just the once. It's a lovely fabric from the Michael Miller collection. It's the Rosalinda again. And now I'm cutting my front piece. And I will need that twice, once in lining and once in the upper fabric. And because this is gauze, which effectively comes in a 2-layer fabric, it's literally 2 layers woven together with 1 thread going between the layers, which is great for smaller children, or I mean for anybody really, because it makes it really warm. This is from the Michael Miller Baby Basics collection, and it's lovely. But what I decided to do then is to cut this twice and then take advantage of the fact that this is gauze. So now I'm going to pull it apart. You can clearly see here it's 2 layers. So first I thought, will it rip the fabric? But it actually didn't, and it also kept its form really well. It looks like it's going to stretch and do horrible stuff, but it didn't. And what that gives me is a really lightweight fabric, and I can use that for my lining. Now, what I also found in my stash was some really nice lace. I thought, well, I pinned this on already, so it's ready for sewing, and it's a really, really pretty lace. The one thing you need to do when you are putting on lace is to measure that you've put it on at the same distance to the side seam. So if you just measure across from the top of one of those and then on the other side, and make sure that it's exactly the same, and then all you do is sew it on. I think these techniques are really great if you are a visual learner, because you can just like put it on really. There's no sewing it on, turning it and finding that it's not in the right position. So this is super simple. And I'm in the end cutting away that middle lace. After discussing it with one of my testers, she said, no, you need to take that out in the middle. It doesn't look good. So I sewed it down, but then I took it back out. And as you can see in the final picture, it wasn't on there anymore. And I just put the buttons down the middle, and I think it's really sweet. And I'm going to use this lace for the hem as well in the end, and that seemed a little bit too much for me, so I put that away. And I will also put a little bit of lace under my insert, I think, and that'll look very pretty. I've just got enough for that. So that's me done with the front and everything. I also need to cut out the elastic, and the elastic needs to be, I think on my chart here it's 29 centimeters long, so I'm going to cut 4 of those. On the left hand side will tell you how many you have to cut, because they're not all the same. So for some sizes there's 3 tunnels, and for others there's 4 tunnels. So in this case I'm cutting my elastic 4 times, and each tunnel will be exactly 1 inch wide.